Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We've been talking about this guest trainer for probably 2 weeks now. So I'm so excited to introduce him. I know all of you know who he is. I am going to read his little bio, but I'm going to sprinkle my little 2 cents in because I have actually been listening to Bob was one of the first podcasts that I listened to when I first started network marketing. This is our wham. And I learned that through him. So I have learned so much from this man, and the fact that I now get to, introduce him on a team call. It's like surreal. So, I'm going to read this to give it its full, entirety. But, guys, you get to hear from, like, in my opinion, Bob is like the GOAT of network marketing coaches. Okay. So again, we're in for a treat. So Bob Healy is the founder of Your Virtual Upline and the creator of Love-Led Growth, a new leadership standard for growing without fear, pressure, or burnout. Sorry, people are coming in. After more than 20 years in the industry, Bob named what many leaders feel but couldn't explain. Most growth systems don't just demand results, they train leaders to lead from fear, to prove, to perform, to wear masks. Bob calls this fear-led leadership. Through his podcast programs, live events, and his upcoming book, Love-Led Growth, Bob teaches leaders how to break free from fear-led systems and build businesses where calling leads, not pressure or approval. Love-led isn't motivation, it's an order for how to lead, one that makes the mask unnecessary. Bob doesn't help leaders do more. He helps them lead from who they are, not from who the system trained them to be. So without further ado, I'm going to pin Bob. Bob, thank you so much for doing this. And we are just so excited to hear from you. So I'm gonna pin you. I'm gonna remove myself and take it away.
All right. Well, thanks, Ashley. Hold on. Let me change my view because I don't like staring at myself when I'm talking. I want to be able to see people. Well, thank you. Wow. Thanks for the introduction, Ashley. That felt very formal. I feel very important now. I'm excited to be here. I was thinking just before, I don't know when the last time is that I did a team training for Arbonne, which is like a crime. I mean, I have a very deep history working with your company, both on a corporate level, speaking at events, and have had the good fortune of being able to partner up with a lot of amazing people and leaders, and Ashley's one of those people. So Arbonne has a special place in my heart, and I promise you that the message that I have to share with you tonight will be one that I know will feel aligned to you. But dare I say, could be the most important message you've ever heard in your business. So buckle up, because we're going to go on a ride together tonight. Okay? But before I do that, I'm just curious. I want to get a sense of the room here. How many of us here are meeting for the first time tonight? I know we have a lot of OG followers like Ashley, but how many of us are meeting for the first time tonight? If we're just me, if we're virtually meeting for the first time. Okay, cool. Good. A good bit of you. Awesome. Well, so here's how I want to start off tonight. I know I don't know most of you personally, but I know something about you. If you're like most of the people that I get to talk to in this profession today, I know that you're tired, and I know you're trying, and I know that you're doing everything that you've been taught. But you're probably quietly wondering, why does this feel so hard? Why is this not working? And why am I not seeing the growth that I used to anymore? And if you're really honest, you're tired of smiling through the struggle. And you're tired of pretending that you're okay. and you're tired of secretly wondering if it's you. See, tonight I'm going to reveal a truth that almost no one in this profession ever sees. And it's going to explain everything to you. It's going to help you understand why content feels heavy, why your team is stuck, and why growth feels so much harder than it should. And by the time we're done tonight, you're going to walk away with two things. Here's my promise. Number one, a clear understanding of exactly what has been holding you back in your business. And I'll give you a hint. It's not the algorithm. It's not consistency. It's not effort. And it's not skill. It's a hidden force that has been shaping your content, suffocating your leadership, and killing your growth. The second thing that you'll walk away with tonight is a choice. To keep leading the way that you've been surviving, or step into something entirely new. Something purposeful, something honest, and something free. And I promise you this. By the time we're done, you will feel something that some of you may not have felt in a very long time. Hope. Not hype, not motivation that fades, not a hack or a quick fix. Hope. The kind that comes from finally understanding what's really been happening, but more importantly, knowing that there's a better way forward. But what we need to do first is we need to help you see what's really been happening. So I want to ask you a question. A big part of what we're going to do tonight is we're going to frame a conversation around content. How many of you have ever felt like you are posting your heart out and it's just not landing with people? Just drop a yes if you've ever felt that way. Like you're shouting into a void, right? Like something is off, but you just can't put your finger on it, right? You're doing everything that you've been taught to do. You're posting consistently, adding value, being positive, giving tips, sharing wins, motivating, educating, and nothing is moving. No real growth, no conversations, no duplication, just a lot of effort. And inside, it's natural to wonder, even if you've never said this out loud, maybe it's me, right? Why can't I figure this out? I see that this stuff is working for other people. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this anymore. Well, I want you to take a breath and I want you to pay really close attention to what I am about to share with you. It's not you. It's the system that you were given to grow your business. See, here's what most people don't realize. You were handed a system for your business that you never chose. A system that taught you to perform, to push, to prove, to polish, to stay positive, to never slow down, never rest, never question, never feel. Just be coachable. Follow the system and keep going. And if your business ever slowed down, if your team ever got quiet, if the content fell flat, there was only ever one solution. Try harder, do more, and be more. But here's the truth. It's a system that is rooted in fear. Now, I need you to understand what I mean by that. Because when I say fear-led system, what most people think is bad company, toxic leaders, someone yelling at you, manipulating you, like external pressure. But that's not what I mean. See, let me show you how a fear-led system can still exist inside of a company that is love-led, that has a mission, that contains amazing people. And I'm going to start with something that every single one of you knows very well. Rank qualification. Let me ask you a question. Some of you are already smiling. You don't even know what I'm going to talk about yet, but you're already feeling it, aren't you? Let me ask you a question. How many of you have hit a rank in your business? Any rank, it doesn't matter. Just how many of you have hit a rank? Just drop a me or a yes and let me know if you've ever hit a rank in your business. Okay, good. Should be that way. This is a call for leaders, right? Well, let me ask you something else. When you hit that rank the very first time, how did it feel? Drop that into the chat for me, right? When you finally got it, how did it feel? Lolly says terrifying. Shelby says scaring. Chelsea says amazing, exciting. Right. Some of these answers are very revealing. We'll get to that in a second. But I think if you're honest and you really think about it, the first initial feeling is it's exciting. It's amazing, right? Because you worked for it. You earned it. You proved it. And you got the recognition. You got the congratulations. Maybe you even got a trip, a bonus. You got that moment on stage, whether it was virtual or in person. It finally felt like you made it. But then something happened. The day after you hit that rank, something else showed up. Because the countdown started. Because in most companies, you don't just hit a rank once and keep it forever, right? No, you have to re-qualify. Whether that's monthly or quarterly in some determined cycle. Which means the rank that you just worked so hard to achieve, you can now lose it. Now, when that happens, it's not just a title that changes. It's your entire identity. Your worth, right? The proof that you matter, the evidence that you're doing it right. Gone. Now, here's what no one in this profession talks about. Rank requalification isn't just a policy. It is a fear generation machine. See, here's what rank does to you. First, your belief becomes completely unstable. Because when you're qualified, you feel worthy. But when you're at risk of losing the rank, you panic. You see others ranking up while you're stuck and you feel like a failure. And when you really look at it, your belief, it isn't rooted in calling or purpose. It is rented from a title that you could lose at any moment. And that is not real belief. That is borrowed belief. Here's the second thing it does. It keeps you trapped in what we call the achiever loop forever. And here's how it works. You set a goal to advance to the next rank or keep the one you have. You overcommit to make it happen. You carry everyone to hit it or miss it. If you miss it, you pull back in shame. If you hit it, you celebrate for a moment, but then the anxiety and the stress shows up right afterwards because the deadline is already counting down for you to do it again. It never stops. You don't get time to rest, to reflect, or to build anything sustainable. And here's what makes this devastating. You can't develop leaders when you're stuck in this loop. You only create followers because you don't have the capacity to actually develop people. You only have the capacity to motivate and push them. So what winds up happening is your team depends on your energy, on your push, on your belief. And here's what it looks like. You post, they watch. You rally, they show up. You push, they move. But if you rest, they stop. They don't duplicate you, they depend on you. A team that only moves when you move, and a business that only grows when you push. And a system where you are doing all of the heavy lifting. Now, how long can you sustain that? Look, that's not a duplication problem. That's a system problem. Because fear-led systems don't build leaders. They build dependency. Here's the third thing that happens. The system gets inside of you. See, after a while, you don't need the system to pressure you anymore because you pressure yourself. You wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about your numbers. You feel guilty when you rest. You panic when your team slows down. Not because anyone told you to feel that way, but because fear of losing your rank has become your inner voice. Now, here's what I need you to understand. None of this is your fault. Your company isn't evil. Your leaders are not trying to hurt you. They are good people with good hearts, but they are stuck in the same fear-led system. The structure itself, rank, monthly pressure, goals, constant measurement and comparison, it is a structure that operates on fear. And over time, it stops being something you experience from the outside, and it becomes something you carry on the inside. Here's how you know that this is happening to you. Because it's sneaky. Because if fear were loud, you'd catch it. But the problem is when fear sounds like responsibility. You can't rest without feeling guilty. When you slow down, you feel anxious. When your belief rises and falls every day with your daily results, you're only as good as your last post. When you're working harder than ever, but feeling more disconnected. Look, that's not freedom. That is perfect fear-led conditioning. And I bet deep down, you've always felt that. I bet if you're honest with yourself and you think back, you knew something was off the moment it started. Here's the problem. You didn't have language for it. But tonight you do. So let's talk about content. How does all this stuff relate to content? This is a huge shift in the way you think and feel about content. Your content is proof of your leadership. It is the visible evidence of whether you're leading with love or fear. Now, here's what you need to realize. There is no neutral content. Every post you make builds belief or breaks it. Every post creates connection or distance. Every post is revealing to the people around you what you are leading with. Now, what is fear-led content? Fear-led content is content you create to get something. This is what you were conditioned and taught that content is. It is a way to get engagement, to get validation, to get a sale, to get a recruit, to get attention. It is transactional at the energetic level. And if you are struggling right now with content and growing your business, there is only one reason why: you are leading with fear. And the people around you can feel it. I'll prove it to you. When you put your heart into a post and it doesn't do well, what's the very first thought that hits you? Be honest. Drop it in the chat. I'm talking about you, vulnerable, authentic. You put it out there and nobody likes it or comments. What's the first thought? Failure. I'm not good at this. What am I doing wrong? Right? You question, why did I do that? I'm not going to do that again. Look, I want you to look at every single thing that you're writing here. That is fear. This is why your business has felt unstable. This is why content is such an emotional thing for you and why being consistent feels so hard. Because the fear-led system teaches you work harder to be worthy, be perfect to be respected, and never slow down or it's going to fall apart. It rewards pressure, perfection, and performance. And over time, that doesn't just shape your business. It shapes you. You build an invisible armor that we call the mask. The mask is the version of you that you think you need to be to make it work. It helps you survive, but it quietly buries your calling and suffocates your leadership. Now, there are 4 primary leadership masks that people wear. Now, I'm going to describe each one to you. Here's what I want you to do as I share these with you. I want you to notice which one feels most familiar. You may see yourself in multiple masks, which is normal, but every single one of you has one that you absolutely default to. And I want you to just kind of pay attention and notice. Here's the first mask. It's called the performer. Now, the core fear of the performer is if I don't look strong, I will lose everything. So every post feels like a performance. Perfect, polished, always put together. Now, you don't perform because you're fake. You perform because the world taught you that you're only valuable when you're winning. So you post the proof, but never the process. The victory, but not the vulnerability. And from the outside, your content screams confidence. But underneath, it's not real. It's performed. There's a little voice that's constantly whispering to you, if they knew the real me, they wouldn't respect me. Don't let them see the cracks. Now, here's what this costs you. Connection. People admire you, but they don't feel close to you. And your image looks strong, but your impact is fragile. And here's what happens to your team. They watch you show up perfect, and they try to match it. But they don't have your experience, and they don't have your skills. So they either burn out trying to keep up with you, or they pull back because they feel like they can never measure up. And you see your team slowing, getting quieter and posting less, and they're coming to you for help, but you don't know how to help them. The second mask is the pusher. Now, the core fear of the pusher is if I stop pushing, everything will fall apart. So every day feels like a countdown clock. Every post is a deadline. Every quiet moment feels like danger. Now, you don't push because you're overbearing. You push because the world taught you that slowing down is slipping. And resting is risking everything you've built. So you push, you pressure, you manufacture urgency, you show strength, but what you're really showing is survival. And underneath it all, there's a whisper. If I let up, they'll forget me. If I'm not loud, they won't listen. And from the outside, your content looks bold. But underneath, it's not leadership. It's panic wrapped in positivity. Here's what this costs you. Safety. People can't relax around you. They brace. They hold their breath. They wait for the push. Your energy gets attention, but it doesn't build trust. And your results spike, but your relationships weaken. And here's how it impacts your team. They're burning out. Not all at once, but slowly. Because when you lead with push, your team learns to push too. And they push themselves. They push their prospects. They push their customers. They push their team. And it works for a while until it doesn't. And then you hit a wall. Because you can't sustain growth on push alone. They don't officially quit. They just fade away. The third mask is the teacher mask. Now, I know this mask very well because this is the one that I wear. The core fear of the teacher is if I'm not teaching, I'm not valuable. Every post feels like a lesson, a mini training. Now, you don't overteach because you love making things complicated. You overteach because somewhere along the way you learn that your worth lives in your usefulness. So you teach, you explain, you over-deliver, you give and give, but not from love and abundance, from a fear that who you are isn't enough without something to offer. And the little voice that whispers to you says, if I'm not giving value, I'm losing credibility. My story isn't enough. I need a tip, a framework, something else to teach. So every post is another attempt to prove that you belong. People learn from you, but they don't actually know you. And here's what it costs you: emotional resonance. Your audience feels educated and informed, but not impacted. They admire your wisdom, but they don't feel your heart. And your self-worth still rises and falls with every like and comment you get or you don't get. Now, here's what happens to your team. They respect you, they learn from you, but they don't reach out to you. You've positioned yourself as the expert, the one with the answers, the one who has it all figured out. And when they're struggling, when they're scared, and when they're doubting, they don't feel like they can tell you because you never show that side of yourself in your journey. So they suffer in silence. They try to figure it out on their own. And when they can't, they just assume something's wrong with them. Now, here's the fourth mask: the disconnected. The core fear of the disconnected mask is if I go all in again, I'll get hurt again. Let me tell you about this leader. She's successful. She's got a team. She holds a rank. She's doing everything right. But she's not really there anymore. Not because she never was, but because she was. And it destroyed her. See, the disconnected mask is unique in that it doesn't wear itself from day one. It's something you put on after you get burned. Maybe your last company closed. Maybe your team walked away. Maybe you gave everything to a business and you watched it collapse right in front of your eyes. Now, when it fell apart, something inside of you broke. Not your ability to work, not your ability to show up, your ability to believe. So you did what any smart person would do. You rebuilt. You found a new company. You started over. You hit the rank again. But this time it was different. You kept your heart out of it. And you look successful, but you're just surviving. And underneath the voice, that protective voice whispers to you, don't get too excited. It might fall apart again. Don't believe too much. You're just going to get disappointed. So you stay half in. Well, here's what this costs you. connection. Not just with your audience, with yourself, your calling, the reason you started. You don't feel the wins anymore because you won't let yourself. You don't feel the momentum anymore because you're too afraid that it will stop. And you don't feel joy because that requires you to be vulnerable. And that's what got you hurt the last time. And your content proves this. It's professional, it's consistent, it's put together, but it's empty. People see your posts and think, oh, that's nice. But they don't feel anything because you don't feel anything. And here's the impact that this has on your team. They feel it. They can't name it, but they feel it. Their leader isn't really there. Now you show up to the calls, you respond to the message, you're available, they see you. But when they reach out, when they're struggling, when they're scared, and when they really need leadership, you're distant. You give them the strategy, you give them the steps, the advice, but you don't give them you. Because you can't. And your disconnection duplicates. Because when your leader is protecting their heart, your teams protect theirs too. Now, I would guess, knowing this the way that I do, you probably felt one of those more than the others. It's uncanny how recognizable they are when you see them for the first time. And some of you may be realizing, I've been leading with a mask my entire business. Now, I want you to hear me clearly. This is important. You are not the problem. And the mask is not your fault. You did what you had to do to survive in a system that never honored your humanity. But now that you see it, you don't have to carry it into your future. You haven't failed. You have been faithful to a system that has been failing you. Showing up with your whole heart through a mask that was never yours to begin with. This is not a moment for shame. This is a moment to feel seen. Now, here's the choice that I mentioned to you at the beginning of today that you get to make. A choice that most people in this profession don't even realize is available to them. And that choice is to keep leading with the mask or finally see it for the first time. Now, before I tell you how we're going to help you do that, I want you to be grounded in something really important. You are absolutely in the right vehicle. How many of you believe with all your heart, you know that you are in the right vehicle here with your company? How many of you know that? With everything that's in you, you know that to be true, right? You love the mission of the company, the values. You believe in the products. You believe in the people. You love the people. You know that all of these things, they change people's lives. And you're right. You are in the right vehicle. But here's what you haven't realized until this moment. You were given the wrong engine. A fear-led engine. One that only runs on pressure, performance, and proving your worth through your results. An engine that has been turning you into someone that you never meant to be. It created the mask. And here's the worst part of all of this. The system conditioned you to blame the driver. Every time the car broke down, every time the vehicle wouldn't move, it was your fault. I don't have the right mindset. I'm not consistent enough. I just need to believe more. False. Not true. You don't have a mindset issue. There is nothing wrong with your mindset. You have a mask issue. Sit with that for a moment. Here's the good news. Today is your first step to installing a new engine. A love-led engine for your content, for your leadership, and for your business. An engine that will take you and your vehicle places that it has never been before. Because in your heart, you're not a performer. You're not a pusher. You're not a teacher. And you're not disconnected. Underneath the mask is a love-led leader. And that's what we want to help you do starting tonight. We want you to see the mask so you can take it off. And here's what happens when you do that. It's very powerful. It's not about becoming someone different or someone new. It's about remembering who you really are. Before the rank, before the pressure, before the performance, and before the fear. You want to know the most tragic thing that the fear-led system does to all of us? Same thing happened to me. It shrinks our calling to fit inside our business. Being love-led puts calling back in its rightful place, which is in the driver's seat of the vehicle. Look, the message I want to deliver to you tonight is this. You are being called to something bigger. Remember the reason why you started in the first place? You didn't start off wanting to hit the top rank or to go viral or to become a top seller. None of that stuff mattered to you. You didn't even understand what it was. You took a step in the direction of this thing because you felt called. Your life was transformed through the products, through the people, through the community. And you thought for a moment that maybe I could share this with others. And that is a calling. Your first step in this business felt like a step towards a more meaningful life. And you remember that early success that you had? Leaders, that new person energy? You want to know what that is? That's being love-led. You were love-led in the beginning until all of this happened. But that's still there. And this is going to help you remember that. Here's how we're going to do it. So we have created a tool that will help you see your mask. We call it the Love-Led Content Mirror. And we've named it very intentionally because your content is a mirror. And here's what it will do. It will analyze your actual posts. You will copy and paste them into this tool that we've created. It will analyze your words, but more than just your words, it will pick up on the energy and the intention behind the words. And it will show you in a matter of minutes, you will see your leadership mask for the very first time. And it will be an undeniable truth. Not the one you think you're wearing, the one you are actually wearing. Now, I want to prepare yourself. Some of you are already, Savannah wants to throw up. So you're already getting how this progression is going to work. Okay. So I'm going to just tell you, I need to prepare you. Here's what happens when leaders see their mask for the first time. First, there's recognition. You think, oh my God, that is what I have been doing. That's why this has felt so hard. This is the reason why connection has felt so difficult for me. And then there's grief. Grief for the time that you spent wearing it. Grief for the connections that you missed. And grief for the version of yourself that you've been hiding. Now that grief is important. And I want you to let yourself feel it. Because right on the other side of it is hope, just like I promised you. Because once you realize the mask isn't you, that you are not broken, and that you have not failed, everything begins to shift. You can't see a mask, take off a mask that you don't see. And here's what happens when you start showing up without the mask. Content gets easier because you're not fighting yourself anymore. Your connection gets deeper because there isn't a wall between you and your people. And your growth comes back because people can finally feel you again. And that is what's possible. Not someday, not eventually, now. The moment you see it. Here's what I want to leave you with. Just the acknowledgement. If you're here, still, I know you didn't start this business to perform or push. You didn't start it to hide behind lessons or protect your heart from ever feeling again. You started it because you believed in something. You wanted to help people, and you felt that there was a calling. It's not your fault that the system shrank the calling. But now it's time to stop shrinking because your calling is 100 times bigger than your business. So it's time. It's time to take off the mask. It's time to remember who you are and why you started, and realize that there is another person out there who needs to hear your story. Not the performed version, the real version. The one that's been waiting underneath this mask the whole time. That's who they're waiting for. That's who your team needs. And that's who you were always meant to be. So here's how you do it. It's very easy. SeeYourMask.com. SEE, your mask, SeeYourMask.com. Now, the last thing I'll share with you just in preparation, thank you, Ashley, is this. Two things. One, when you're choosing, it's going to ask you to choose 10 posts of yours. It doesn't really matter which posts you choose because you wear your mask in all your content and we'll see the patterns. But what I try to direct people to do is try to select 10 posts that are a good representation of what content typically looks like for you. If you're not sure, don't overthink it. Just share 10 posts. It will work anyway. The last thing that I'm going to share is this before I kick it back over to Ashley and we wrap it up. I find it helpful sometimes, and I'll throw this out there. Y'all can discuss this. You don't have to give me an answer right now. But I find it helpful after somebody has been through this process and they've seen your mask. I find it helpful to reconnect with you again, to talk you through what is really the more important next step, which is how do we take it off? And so what I'll throw out to you is this: if y'all are up for it, we can do a second session. We can do a follow-up. And here's what I would like to do in the follow-up is I want all of you to do the audit. I want you to get your mask diagnosis, and then we can all come back and we can talk about what happened. And what I want to do is I want to share with you a very simple 3-step process for taking off the mask and leading without it. And then we can do some coaching. We'll actually have some of you share your mask live, and we'll help you start to see the patterns of how your mask shows up, because it is uncanny how predictable each mask is. You can tell me your mask and I can tell you your entire business. It is that, I mean, it is right as rain. And so, but the more we can see the mask, the easier it is for us to remove it. And so Ashley and I can reconnect around a day and time to do that if you ladies feel like that would be helpful for you. So Ashley, I'll kick it back over to you.
I mean, Bob, I have no words. People were crying over here. We're having
people are crying. They're throwing up. I honestly think that's the first time I've ever made someone vomit on a training. And I feel very, very honored that I was able to.
First time. But seriously, thank you. Thank you so much. This was incredible. And like I said to our team, that this is needs to be taught to not just Arbonne, but like every network marketing business, because it's the new way. So
it will be taught. I'm writing a book about it. So it's going to be taught.
We're all going to buy it.
The whole first half of the book is about the mask. So it's going to be taught. Believe me. One thing I'll just throw out to you, feel free to share that with anyone on your team. Okay.
Yep.
Because here's a really important realization. When you're talking to your team and you're trying to lead them and you're struggling, it's because you're not talking to them. Mm-hmm. You're talking to their mask. And so you have one leader wearing a mask. You have another leader wearing a different version or same version of the mask. Nobody knows it's happening. No wonder why we can't connect with people. And so part of what we'll do in the second session is we'll help you start to understand how to shift that and how to change that. But Ashley, thank you for having me here.
Thank you. This is amazing.
I'm really grateful. It is, to me, it is my personal mission and calling in my life. I truly believe this, to introduce leaders to this concept so that you can finally be freed of the thing that has been holding you back, so that you can go out there and live out your calling and change lives through your business. And I truly believe that this will be the first step towards you doing that. So thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you got some value, and look forward to reconnecting again sometime soon to help you take the next step. So
yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Bob.
Awesome. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, ladies. Thank you.